Hey everyone, thanks for watching this video. Online Campus team here. I'm Robert Murphy, this is Jordan Johnson, and we're finishing up the field group study today we've been doing online, the first 6 sessions in the book. And there's an additional 6 sessions. If you want to keep going, that's great, but for online we wanted to do the first 6. And today, page 82 of your field guide, we have an unfortunate typo in the title, but it's kind of funny at the same time too. God made sex really good. So this is obviously from the Sermon on the Mount where Jesus is talking about the topic of lust and sex. So I'll read that really quickly. It's found in Matthew chapter 5, verses 27 through 32. And I'm reading from the ESV translation. You have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than your whole body be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body go into hell. And Jordan, I know these verses have been studied and looked at and really pondered upon by a lot of people. And that latter half of the passage about just, it's obviously exaggerated. It's, it's not meant to be, I take it's not meant to be taken literally. But what does that, what's that say to you? That's always something, I know sometimes guys joke about, like, what that passage can mean. But what's that say to you, just that kind of language that Jesus uses there?
Yeah, I think it's all about, really, the language is just portraying how serious Jesus is taking this issue. And I think we see that where, issues that start in lust or start in, these types of issues, how far they can spread out and just how far their web reaches and what relationships it can hurt, destroy, the way it can destroy marriages, relationships that aren't even marriages. It can have an effect on you. And I think it's one that obviously when done, like the title says, like God made sex really good.
Yeah. Like
when it's done within what he set it up as, like it is this really great thing. So I think that it's easy for people to kind of say, well, God made it, like I'm supposed to enjoy these things. It's like, yeah, but you're taking it the wrong way. Like you're doing the wrong things with it. And so I think it's just really Jesus showing, like, yes, there's this really great thing, but you have got, like, it is very serious that you stop ruining it.
Yeah. No, I think it's really good. I think it's, like you said, it's a wonderful thing, but it can cause so much damage when taken outside of, like, how God designed it. And for me, it's, he says great. I also look at it as like to what limit are you, to what extent are you willing to go to do the right thing? And for me, with my history of dealing with pornography, obviously I'm not cutting off any members of my body, but like setting limits on, like, I don't have an internet browser. I don't have, like, Safari on my iPhone. There's certain websites I have to intentionally choose not to go to because of even if it's just like Sports Illustrated, SI.com, they always promote their swimsuit issue and their swimsuit stuff. So I tell myself not to go to SI.com. Putting those kind of boundaries, which helps me just to enjoy the freedom that God has given me, and so it doesn't flourish into something much worse.
Yeah.
And so for me, I think that's like, to what extent are we willing to go to deal with sin and to deal with stuff in our life? And like Jesus said, even the thought, sometimes people are like, oh, I acknowledge, I think that person's good looking. I don't necessarily think like that's sin, but when you allow that thought to kind of, you play with it and like just kind of linger on it, and it could just in your mind have like this fantasy play out. In one sense, like, well, I didn't do anything, but that in itself is like, it's just your heart kind of like going there. I think that's what God's saying. It's like, hey, let's nip this stuff in the bud, because if you don't, like you said, it can affect so much more than just ourselves. So it's really important. It's like, to what extent are you willing to root out sin? And I think one other thing I wanted to hit on was the second question there on the page, the latter part of it. It says, do you think the church has done anything to contribute to the decay, I think just as far as sexuality, in our society today? I would say yes. I think we have, but I'd ask you, Jordan, what do you think the church has played a part in that kind of sexual decay that we see in our culture today?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it kind of can go in swings, and it's
Yeah.
all, it's different from church to church, but just I think that oftentimes churches want to not deal with that because it seems like an ugly sin to bring up.
Yeah.
So I think that without having that open conversation and really being honest about what's going on and facing and equipping the people in the church to deal with what's going on and the changing culture and what's become acceptable in culture, I think that just by not addressing it, they've helped increase it. Like they've helped just not slow it down and prepare the people in the church to be able to deal with it. Just because I wouldn't say they're doing things necessarily to create the decay, but by not trying to fight it, they're kind of letting it happen, and it's just starting to go, and it's starting to affect the people in the church. It's not just the secular world; it's reaching into the church's walls, and the church isn't. And some churches are doing a great job of trying to combat that and really equip their, especially men with, knowing how to deal with those type of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think the church, just by standing by and not addressing it, has let it get worse.
Yeah, and I think that's really good. I think another issue is just sometimes the hypocrisy we have when it comes to sexuality. Obviously, the church is known for being, this is a general and it's a stereotype, but for being very harsh when it comes toward the gay community. And but yet, for those who are straight, they have sexual sin, but the church doesn't point that out nearly to the degree that they do toward the gay community. And so we kind of lose I don't know if it's moral authority, but we're looked as hypocrites. And if, like you said, like while we maybe don't directly cause the decline, we create an environment where that decline can happen because we're not consistent. There's certain things we don't address, and so that's something we definitely need to do, is just to be consistent, but also showing love in that. Like when someone confesses their sin that they're dealing with, or they're dealing with shame, like we need to make sure that that they're there, that we try and restore them, that we love them, and to show them that Jesus loves them, and that we're there for them. We're not trying to kick them out.
Yeah.
And that there's hope for those, no matter what the situation is.
Yeah.
Well, hey Jordan, thanks for taking some time to talk on this.
Yeah.
And for those of you watching, thanks for watching. Always know, this is a topic that there's a lot of questions. Always know you can message us here at the church if you have any questions. We have a lot of great ministries that help deal with these topics as well. But for Jordan, I'm Robert. Thanks again for watching.